Steve, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. We'll get to the placements in just a few minutes, but I want to quickly touch on the change in COVID-19 regulations that was announced last night. Obviously, that means primary, secondary school learners can now all attend school. What does this mean logistically for the department, and are schools ready to welcome back all learners?
Good morning. Yes, indeed. I mean, schools have been ready. They've been actually saying to us that it's just waiting for for cabinet to announce, and the minister has been saying that as well. So just waiting for the minister to give us guidance in terms of how we are supposed to be starting, because you know that she's the one who announced that we need to operate in this fashion. So same applies. She will then have to guide us on how we're going to be managing this. But we're quite happy. I mean, we lost a lot. We've been saying that. MEC would have told you that we lost actually 3 years now. That's when, we'll probably recover in the next 3 years. So the sooner we have all of them in the classroom and we continue with the process of teaching and learning, we will then be happy as a sector.
Let's go back to late registration, Steve. Any idea how many applications you received as of last night?
Look, we remember the system shut down midnight, and so most of us were still sleeping. But before, it was just over 27,000 that were recorded at night when I was checking. Because remember yesterday we said it was about in the early afternoon it was about 26,000, and at night we were sitting at about 27. So I'm not sure now where we're sitting, but those people would have been placed, because remember we only availed schools that had capacity to accommodate. So all of them, they are placed. And that we've also announced that all the grade 1 and 8, those that would have applied during the open line, when we opened the process of online admissions, all of them, we announced that they are placed. Over 347,000 of those that would have been in the system.
So, Steve, let me make sure I understand correctly. The late applications were only open to schools that have capacity. So those that applied late would have immediately gotten placement because it was for schools that do have capacity.
Indeed. I mean, it was schools that had capacity. And remember, we opened on the 12th of January when we were opening schools, because we wanted them to then access those schools. And the first day, we actually were sitting at around 8,000 already. You could see that people were anxious, waiting to apply. We are talking here about people who will be coming from other provinces, some moving from one district to the other. Some, well, their reasons would have been they might have forgotten or they didn't know how to utilize the system. So we availed our officials. They had to go to our offices and they were assisted. So yes, all those they've been placed, because once you accept, then you are automatically placed during the late registration.
Finally, Steve, you've said you're working on the online system. What are some of the concerns that have been raised, and how do you intend on ironing out some of those kinks?
No, look, MEC has already called upon our officials to start with the review process. Now that the system is shut, it will be easy for them to really work on enhancement. We're talking about enhancement, review some of the icons, some of the things that would have been a requirement for them to change. Like, for instance, if you apply, the system should not struggle to know that you have a sibling, because to a certain extent, some you would have had a sibling in a school and they could not be placed there. But then when we look into their appeals, we could see that really they need to be accommodated there. So things like those, we should be in a position to address them. But MEC is expecting a report from the officials. After the review, they need to indicate on what is it that they have addressed, looking at some of the concerns that were raised by parents. But we need to be honest on the issue of capacity. I mean, if a school has 350 spaces and we have about 2,000 parents that applied at that school, surely even next year we'll still be saying to them, unfortunately, we cannot accommodate you all. I mean, we can't have 2,000 people, and those that will be saying yes, all of us, this is our preferred school. Then how are we going to be accommodating them? We will have, such complaints, people saying, yes, the system is not working because one would have not been accommodated at a preferred school. So we are, making sure that we increase classrooms. We continue the process of building more schools, especially in the high-pressure areas where we know that after building those schools, we should be in a position to say, let's accommodate those that would have been applying in those areas.
All right, Steve, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Steve Mabona, the spokesperson for the Gauteng Education Department.